Raw had some stiff competition tonight from the College Football National Championship game, but they did not mail it in tonight. And another 2.5 hour show, well, a little more than 2.5 hours. Went about 2 hours and 35 minutes tonight. You know what? Better than 3. I'll take it. I'll take it. It's an improvement. I like it. I like the new format. I also, by the way, because I wanted to give it a shot and see what would happen. So I used my ExpressVPN, which you hear me talking about on the podcast. I used my ExpressVPN tonight to watch Raw on Netflix in Canada. Yes, I was officially deemed a Canadian tonight. I love my friends in Canada. We got Steve Mello in the chat. He's in Canada. We're like neighbors now. So I connected to a Canadian server. I got to watch Raw tonight. No commercials. It worked like a charm. I think we're going to have to make a habit out of this. So it made for a much more pleasant viewing experience here. For a show where we had a WrestleMania rematch in the main event. We had a World Heavyweight Championship match last year at WrestleMania 40 with Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre. And Seth Rollins was not in a good state physically. He was not doing well. And still, they went out there last year and they had themselves a very good match. But the match that these two, Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre, had tonight on this show was even better than their WrestleMania match last year. They had a very good main event tonight. Drew McIntyre remains winless in 2025. He lost to Jey Uso, and tonight he lost to Seth Rollins in much the same way. Really, it was a shock pin out of nowhere. And that's 2 in a row now for McIntyre. So he has negative momentum carrying him into the Royal Rumble. We had a little bit of drama there at the end of the show. Sami Zayn comes out to try to fend off a post-match beatdown and save Seth. But in the end, he ends up kicking him in the face. And Rollins did not look happy about that when they went off the air tonight. And all of a sudden, Sami Zayn, a guy who felt as if he was directionless after being involved in some of the bigger angles in WWE, from the Bloodline stuff and then the stuff with Gunther. And then things really got quiet for him. All of a sudden, this guy has, issues with Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins and potentially Kevin Owens, which we saw tonight, and potentially CM Punk, which I'll talk about. Sami Zayn's right in the middle of all of it right now. We also had the second week here of Penta. Penta was the highlight of the show last week. This was week number 2, right? The debut, you get the debut out of the way, all the fanfare. And so it's like, all right, now we're in week 2, right? Now you're a part of the show like everybody else. So how is it going to come across? And still, here 2 weeks in a row now, Penta comes out there and he feels like a star. He's treated like a star. He looks like a star. He goes out there and he has himself another very good match this week with Pete Dunne. And he picks up yet another win. And this is how you build up a star. If Penta is going to have the kind of success that I think many of us hope he has on Monday Night Raw, the way to do that is to get him consistent television time on this show. Now, it's only been 2 weeks, but 2 straight weeks, 2 straight wins for Penta. That is how you make a star. Win matches. It's such a simple formula. Win matches. Consistent television time and wins. And the sky's the limit for Penta, but he came out again tonight. He had another very good showing, I thought. I've talked a lot about this transfer window. We haven't had a lot of moves. Last week, we learned that the Wyatt Six has been transferred from Raw to SmackDown. By the way, we still have not heard or seen anything from the Wyatt Six, other than the fact that we were told they moved. That's about it. And then there were some announcer moves and not much else. But now we have another move. Bayley has officially moved over from SmackDown to the Monday Night Raw roster. And I looked at that and I said, this is a great move. I was talking about this last week, the possibility that this might happen. And I said, this would be a great move because it would give Bayley all of these fresh opponents for her to get into the ring with. And so who does she get in the ring with on her very first night on Monday Night Raw? Nia fucking Jax. The same woman that she was working with over and over again on Friday nights. This is who they had her wrestling here on night 1 on her brand new show. I don't get it. But there they were in the ring tonight, and it didn't work out too well for Bayley because she was on the losing end of things yet again tonight. We have a women's world title match that has now been added to Saturday night's main event, which is coming up this weekend, and it is against a SmackDown star. Rhea Ripley, the World Heavyweight Champion on Monday Night Raw, will be defending her title against Nia Jax, who is still technically part of the SmackDown roster. But see, this is what happens when you don't have any credible heel challengers that you have built up for Rhea Ripley. Where do you go? You have to look to the other show. So this is why we're getting that and the fact that they really needed at least one more match on that show. And this is what they came up with. And so Rhea is going to be defending her title this weekend. And CM Punk, it was brief. He didn't even get into the ring. He didn't get a full entrance or anything like that. I mean, he got an entrance, but there he is up in the crowd, up in the stands with Jackie Redmond, and cutting a promo about the Royal Rumble and all the different people in the Royal Rumble match that he's going to target potentially. And he just had to throw Hulk Hogan's name in there, as if Hulk Hogan is going to be a surprise entrant in the Royal Rumble. Can you imagine? You know, people made fun of the Iron Sheik at WrestleMania 17 when he was in the Gimmick Battle Royal. They knew he was going to win the minute he came out because who the fuck is going to throw him out over the top rope? I mean, give me a break. He wouldn't have survived the fall. Hulk Hogan is now in that same state. Hulk Hogan enters the Royal Rumble. He's winning the entire thing because ain't nobody throwing him out over the top rope. So CM Punk throwing Hogan's name in there among all the challengers that he will throw out and over the top rope in this Royal Rumble match, and got a little dig in there, just buried him in this one little dig in this promo. It's a good night. It's a good night. It's a good night to talk about Raw. This is your Raw on Netflix review for January 20th, 2025. I am the Solomonster. Like and subscribe. I just dropped $500 today to get this computer fixed because there were just different issues, and I just had to make sure, because we didn't do SmackDown on Friday night. I was in Chicago. I said I cannot miss this Monday Night Raw review. So let's expedite things and do what needs to be done. $500 later, here I am with you tonight. I'm very happy about that, but I'm very sad that it ended up costing that much money. So believe me when I say I very much appreciate all of the Super Chat support that you guys give me. And Super Chats are open, and we have some new ones as well, which you can find in the description down below. Why is Solomonster a Punk hater? Why does he hate Punk so much? What did he ever do to him? Hey, Fire Panda.
It's the amazing
Thank you.
Gunther.
And Gunther is with
Jerry
us.
Lawler loves Gunther the Magnificent. All hail Gunther.
could have gotten a new laptop with $500. I'll tell you what, though. This computer has served me well. It really has. I mean, I've had it for a few years now, but, you know, it's a gaming machine. And I don't really do a lot of gaming on here, but, you know, you want to have that power. You know, when you're doing a lot of graphics work and editing and video work and you're running OBS and all this stuff, and it gets very hot in here. Yeah, you want to make sure it's as spec'd out as possible. So there really is nothing so wrong with the machine that I would have to run out and buy a new one right now. I just, you know, I wanted to fix this one. And so that's what we did. So anyway, but here we are. Everything's working fine, and I'm with you tonight, and that's all that matters. David Thiering, I saw you pop up. Thank you, brother. David, I hope you're having a good night. Now, Sidro's with us. We got a full house in here, and people are still filing in, so let's get into things here with this show. Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre, and CM Punk were shown arriving at the building here at the very beginning. Rhea Ripley was shown arriving earlier today, and she's got a smile on her face. You know, they do that fake thing where they're walking in, and they're like, because, you know, when we're walking down the street, like when you walk into your office, right? You're so happy to go to work. First of all, who's that happy to go to work? Number one. But number two, I'm sure when you all walk into the office, bleary-eyed at 8 o'clock in the morning, that's how you walk into the office, right? You walk in, you open the door, you big smile on your face, right? If that were me, if I worked in the same office with you, I would go, what's wrong with that guy? Nobody looks like that when they walk to work. But she's walking along, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Nia Jax attacks her. So they showed us that. That would play into what happened later in the show. Michael Cole said that Dallas, which is where they were tonight, was hosting Raw for the 27th time. And with Pat McAfee on ESPN duty tonight with the national championship game, he was absent. In his place, ordinarily, would be Corey Graves. Not tonight. In his place, over from SmackDown, was Wade Barrett. He filled in with Michael Cole. Very interesting. After he deleted his tweets from last week, we have not heard from Corey Graves. There has been no update on Corey Graves. Corey Graves, not only was he not on NXT last week, very telling that he was not on Raw tonight, and he is not expected to be on NXT tomorrow night either. So his future at the moment is in doubt. I have no doubt that at the end of the day, it'll all be worked out, and whatever show he's going to be on, he'll be back soon. But he was not back tonight. So Jey Uso made his entrance through the crowd, and Michael Cole, there's no bigger fan of Jey Uso than Michael Cole. And so as Jey Uso is coming through the crowd, they show Michael Cole standing at ringside, and he's just, he's bouncing up and down, and he's yeeting, and Wade Barrett is just completely ashamed. He's already sitting at the desk because he, of course, is not going to be made to look like a fool. But he has no problem mocking Cole on commentary. He calls him an absolute goofball and says that he's dancing like a drunk granddad at a wedding. And Jay comes over the barricade and he slaps hands with Michael Cole. Cole goes back to the announce desk. He's completely blown up. How old is Michael Cole? He's probably getting close to 60. He doesn't look like it, but he's probably getting up there at this point. So Jay said, hey, maybe he can go after the AEW World Championship. So Jay stood in the ring, and he said that he would take home the big one on Saturday night's main event. He didn't really get to say much before Gunther, the World Heavyweight Champion, interrupted and made his way down to the ring. And Gunther assumed that Jay was going to say that he was going to win the World Heavyweight Championship. And Jay said, yep, I'm going to take that title from you. I'm going to hang it up in a room at home. And Gunther called Jay a funny little man. And he said that he was looking forward to facing Jay until he saw him come out and act like a complete dork. Was he talking about Jey Uso or was he talking about Michael Cole? I'm not sure. Okay, Cole is 56, according to Justin. He's 56 years old. Hey, looks good for 56. If you didn't know Michael Cole and you had no idea how old he was, and somebody asked you, how old do you think that guy is? Would you really say 56? Probably not, right? Good for him. There are people who are 40 years old who look like they're 60. And then you have people who are 60 who look like they're 40. I could be sitting here right now. I could be 60 years old. You would never know. I could just look really good for my age. After the other night when I was talking about doobies and shit, I may well be 60 years old. I'm not sure. Maybe there's a 60-year-old man trapped inside my body. So anyway, Gunther said he could just as well be challenged by Jimmy Uso. It doesn't matter. He said that Jay never follows up on his words. Said the fans are naive enough to believe every word that Jay says, but he doesn't. And he said that Jay's words and his actions, they do not align. He said he would expose Jay as a flash in the pan who has no business being this close to the World Heavyweight Championship. Jay said that, you know what, Gunther, you're right. Because I am a company mascot. And he pointed to the fans and he said that this is my squad. This is my team, and they ride with me, and they thrive with me. He said the fans will be here with him when he beats Gunther for the World Heavyweight title. And he remembers telling Gunther that he respects him. He said that Gunther will put some respect on his name. And Jay said only one of them had main evented WrestleMania, and it wasn't Gunther. So Gunther attacked Jay. Eventually, though, Jay tackled him and threw some right hands at him. He pulled Gunther's shirt over his head, hockey style, and threw some more punches and then super kicked him, and Gunther rolled out to the floor. And Jay, he had a bloody lip, He picked up the World Heavyweight Championship, kind of admired it, placed it on the mat, and that's how the segment ended. So Jey Uso was left to stand tall here in this segment, which, many times doesn't bode well for that person's chances when you go into the PLE or whatever the next big show is going to be. I still feel like Gunther is going to retain. Drew McIntyre, I could see him factoring into that finish given the win that Jey got over him a few weeks ago on that Netflix premiere. But again, they keep hammering home this idea that Jey, he talks a big talk, but he just can't deliver in the clutch. And the fact that Gunther has already beaten him twice before. So the idea of him just going in there and beating Jey clean, let's say, for a third time, I can't see just a clean win for Gunther. So, if not McIntyre interfering, then how does it go down unless Jey is going to win the World Heavyweight title? But I still feel like they're going to keep that belt on Gunther. I think it would be a mistake to take it off of him at this point. Jey is not going into WrestleMania as the champion anyway. But, anything can happen. Anything can happen. If they want to shock the world, they could put the World Heavyweight title on Jey Uso, but I don't see it happening. We go to the back, and the New Day run into our special guest of the night, John Bradshaw Layfield. JBL is with us. Oh my God. How appropriate after last night.
I believe in the monster.
Holy shit.
Cause they love him in London, in Paris, in Tokyo, America, Scotland, and Canada, and Mexico. They say, I believe in the monster. I believe in the monster.
David Thiering dropped a $150 bomb. And apparently scared the shit out of poor Fire Panda. Fire Panda now needs to go get a change of underwear. You better apologize to Fire Panda for that. David, thank you, man. I appreciate that very much. David he knows when to come in with the big bombs. But that's a very appropriate super chat timing on that, given that Joe Hendry is the new TNA World Heavyweight Champion. And by the way, I'm glad you actually dropped that when you did, because I did want to mention the fact for those who may have missed it, because normally I don't do this, but I did do a review for TNA Genesis. Last night, TNA's first pay-per-view of the year, and that is up right now both in audio form and, well, it's on audio form here on YouTube as well, but you can go check out the full review. Did an hour-long review of the TNA show last night. But yes, Joe Hendry, finally, took long enough, is the World Heavyweight Champion, and he's already got a big head because Joe Hendry was on Busted Open Radio this morning, and Joe Hendry issued a challenge to John Cena. He wants to have a match with John Cena this year. What did I tell you on the podcast this weekend? I said it was the whole partnership between WWE and TNA, and it's mostly an NXT thing right now, but don't be shocked if at some point here in 2025, we get John Cena in the Impact Zone, which is something that, come on. Nobody in their right mind would have ever thought would be possible, but now it is. Joe Hendry's going to be in the Royal Rumble in a couple of weeks, not a doubt in my mind. We may get something with Joe Hendry and John Cena in the Royal Rumble. Very possible. We'll see. But congrats to him. Finally wins the big one. Thank you, David. But yes, the New Day ran into JBL in the back. They told us last week that JBL was going to be on the show. They did not tell us what he was going to be doing. What he ended up doing was nothing. They were in Texas. JBL's been appearing everywhere. Every independent promotion you could think of. He's been in GCW. He was in fucking AAA. I think it was AAA, right? He made an appearance there not that long ago. He's been in TNA. He's been all over the place. And he usually just shows up and he clotheslines people. But this was not the JBL in the long black trench coat who comes out and clotheslines people and leaves. This was WWE JBL who comes out, does some commentary, says, "Hey, Maggle," and then leaves. That's what we got tonight from him. But here, Kofi was glad that he was doing commentary for his match because he was wrestling Rey Mysterio tonight. And he slid him a cool $2 into his jacket pocket, trying to butter him up. Kingston and Xavier Woods, they assumed that he would be on the same page with them because he cut the dead weight of his own tag team partner many years ago, so he knows, right? They can relate to each other. And then he went on to have a very successful career, just not as much as them. And JBL gave them a backhanded compliment, and he said he understood why they cut ties with Big E because the fans loved him way more than they loved them. And he figured that they wanted the fans to pay more attention to them. And New Day did not appreciate this, and so they left. But we got Rey Mysterio one-on-one here with Kofi Kingston. And Rey Mysterio enters first, makes his entrance, and they go to commercial. And again, I watched this show using a VPN, so I was watching a Canadian feed. I was watching the international feed. So what happens is they fade out, and then within 3 or 4 seconds, they fade right back into the show. And this is what we normally here in the States do not get to see. But all you international people are so special. You get to see the show continue on. So they stuck with it on my feed. So I got to see JBL's entrance. They played his music. He came out. You saw the production person was running around commentary trying to get him situated with the headset and everything. But not much else happened before they cut to Kathy Kelly in the back to interview Bayley. I assume this is where the show picked up for everybody else. And Bayley announced that she was officially back on Monday Night Raw. And she declared herself for the Women's Royal Rumble match. There have not been very many people that have declared for the Women's Rumble match. It's as if the Women's Rumble doesn't mean as much as the Men's Rumble, right? The Men's Rumble, we got John Cena's declared, and Roman Reigns, and CM Punk, and Drew McIntyre, and LA Knight, and Jey Uso, and Sami Zayn. Maybe even Hulk Hogan after tonight. The Women's Rumble, I think the only person who said anything about being in it was Nia Jax. So Bayley finally says that she's going to be in the Royal Rumble as well. And she says she can go after either brand's champion. She was about to tease maybe even going after the NXT champion, but she got cut off by Nia Jax. And Nia said that she wanted Tiffany Stratton for herself, and she planned on winning the Royal Rumble. Now, I said on Sound Off 897 this weekend that Bayley, who had a championship match on SmackDown against Tiffany Stratton and lost clean, needs to go to Raw. I wasn't sure if they were going to go through with it because they're starting something with her and Roxanne Perez, and they could do that on SmackDown if they wanted to. But she has done everything there is to do on Friday nights. She's wrestled Nia, she's wrestled Tiffany, she's had her tag matches with Naomi and Bianca and Jade. What else is left for her to do on that show? It's very clear she's not going to be in the WWE title picture on that show. Move her to Raw. Let's get some real transfers here in this transfer window. And so that's what they did. I mean, to me, that was the most sensible thing to do with her. If anybody should have been moved, it was her. So now she's on Raw. I think that's the right move to make. And we'll get to her match a little bit later on. Her luck hasn't really changed based on the outcome of her match tonight. But the New Day came out. Remember, Rey Mysterio was in the ring waiting. The New Day came out, got nuclear heat as they cut a promo on their way to the ring. They were pissed off at the fans, constantly booing them because they were walking Hall of Famers. Walking Hall of Famers, they said, unlike JBL. And Kofi actually walked over to JBL at the commentary desk and took the $2 back out of his pocket that he gave him earlier. So Kofi's out here. We have not seen either of the members of the New Day wrestling in singles matches since they went heel. We haven't seen them wrestle, I think, at all since they went heel. They've really been on the back burner for the most part since that great angle with Big E last month, which I'm not sure why. At least they still had heat tonight coming out, but this was Kofi Kingston's first singles match as a heel, and he was out there wrestling in black jeans and sneakers without a t-shirt. JBL on commentary said that this was the one time that he would actually cheer for Rey Mysterio. And he was healing on Rey by ripping on him for being a bad father to Dominic. Cole asked if JBL was still upset about Rey retiring him, and JBL said that he had a fever that night. and endangered his own life by going through with the match. So both men went to ringside. Kofi set up for a power bomb, and Ray flipped over so quickly, and it looked like Kofi just lost him. You know, he just lost his grip. He lost control of him. So thankfully, Ray landed on his back, pretty safely, and he was fine. But for a moment there, that was kind of scary. And Ray used a Hurricane Rana to send Kofi hurtling forward into the ring steps. There was interference by Woods behind the referee's back that allowed Kingston to take over. Ray fought back with a seated senton. Kingston poked him in the eyes behind the referee's back and then hit a splash. Ray set up for a 619, though. Woods tripped him right in front of the referee, so the referee tossed him out of there. And Woods was arguing with him, so Ray knocked him off the apron. Ray hit a 619. Kingston, though, got his knees up on the follow-up springboard splash. And then Kofi went for an SOS, but Ray reversed into a cradle for the flash pin. So Woods runs back out as Ray is in the aisle celebrating, and he attacks Mysterio from behind. And then attacks him alongside Kofi in the ring until the LWO's music hits. And here comes Joaquin Wilde. He runs down to the ring to make the save. New Day bails as the LWO, I think it was Joaquin and Cruz del Toro, but the LWO checked on Ray. New Day runs back through the crowd, back to ringside, and then they post Joaquin Wilde. They just shove him right into the ring post, which I thought was funny that they ran away just to come right back. And so New Day bailed again before Ray or Cruz del Toro could get a hold of them. Here's what I'm looking for, okay? I'm talking about the LWO, and there's one person in particular who was missing. I mean, I didn't see Zelina Vega either, but there's one person who has been missing for a while now. And I am hereby demanding proof of life for Dragon Lee, because you talk about somebody who has fallen off the face of the fucking earth. I don't know what's going on with this guy. I demand proof of life for Dragon Lee. I'm worried about the guy. I don't know where he is. He just vanished. I think they could still be setting up for that tag team match that they were going to do. Apparently the creative changed because they were going to do Penta and Ray. Penta as his surprise partner against the New Day. And I'm just wondering if they decided, you know what, let's get Penta established first with some wins, and then we could always loop him into this. I still feel like we're going to get the match. At some point, I feel like they're building soon to Ray and Penta taking on the New Day. We had a video package after this, speaking of Penta, highlighting his very successful debut from last week, and all the people who were talking about it. The internet was abuzz about the debut of Penta. Kathy Kelly interviewed Chad Gable in American Made, and Gable was not happy. And he talked about his recent problems in the ring with Penta, Dragon Lee, Rey Mysterio. How recent was that Dragon Lee match? Give me a break. But all the luchadors that he has had issues with.
Watch me. Say hello to Liver Morgan.
Liver Morgan.
You know you want me, baby.
I really don't. Liver Morgan is with us tonight. Thank you, C Entertainment Media, for the $32 Liver Morgan. Oh, man. So Gable said he realized that he knew a man who could help with his luchador problems, a man with a fancy mustache, and that man was Hulk Hogan. No, I'm kidding. He does have a fancy mustache. But Hulk Hogan, and actually the luchadors are not the demographic that Hulk has issues with, but he knew a man with a fancy mustache, and that man was Dominic Mysterio. Ivy Nile and the Creed brothers, they said that their intentions are to win gold, so they were able to say a few words. Gable said that they would all be wrapped in gold, and it would be glorious. So while they were at commercial, we got a Jackie Redmond interview up in the crowd with Karrion Kross, up in the concourse, with Karrion Kross and Scarlett. And it was actually pretty good. Now, Bliss fan might want to put his hands over his ears when I say this, because he's not going to be very happy about this. But he completely dismissed the Wyatt Six and said that he's the only guy to beat Uncle Howdy. and he derailed all of their momentum. Actually, the person who derailed all of their momentum is Paul Levesque. But he said he took credit for derailing all of their momentum. He said, he's gone, I won, they lost. Totally buried them. On to the next. So then he said that he had his eyes set on Seth Rollins, and that got no reaction. He mentioned CM Punk, and that got more of a reaction. And he mentioned Sami Zayn, and he told people not to believe a word out of Sami Zayn's mouth because he doesn't think that Sami believes what he says. So a fine little promo here from Karrion Kross, even though a lot of people probably did not see it. Sami Zayn made his way out to the ring for a promo and announced himself for the Royal Rumble match. Zayn said that Seth Rollins asking him if he would help himself for once in that promo last week, it made him think about a lot of things. He said he believes that he is every bit as good as the top wrestlers in WWE and said that they are all in that match. And Zayn said the only difference between them and him is that they have been a world champion and he hasn't. So he said he doesn't feel like he needs that to complete him. He said the support of the fans has meant more to him than any world championship could ever mean. So I don't need a world championship, but damn it, I want it. And out comes Kevin Owens, who walks out with the Winged Eagle Championship wearing a fucking awesome Bret Hart hoodie. I mean, this was the complete package right here. You had the Winged Eagle belt and a Bret Hart hoodie. I was in 1990s heaven here. So Owens walks down to the ring. Now, I'm looking at this Bret Hart hoodie, and I'll tell you right now, I'm resisting temptation because I just dropped $500 to fix this computer. And I know I shouldn't, but it's very tempting, though. So Sami says, it was only a matter of time before you came. That's what she said. So how do you want to do this? And Owens was basically like, I don't know what you mean. What are you talking about? So when he saw Sami with Roman Reigns at Survivor Series, he was upset. But he says it's not like the Cody Rhodes situation. He said Sami and Roman, they have a lot of history. And Roman did some terrible things to him just like Owens did. And Sami overlooked and forgave him for those things. That's who Sami is. You're a good person. Says Zayn does a lot for his friends, and Owens says that Sami is his best friend. Actually more like a brother to him. Owens knows that Sami can and will win the Royal Rumble because he deserves to win the Rumble, and he deserves to go to WrestleMania. And then they can accomplish one more thing together. They main evented WrestleMania together, and they won the tag team titles. But they've never main evented WrestleMania one-on-one for the WWE Championship. When Sami wins the Rumble, they can do that, so long as Owens wins the title first at the Royal Rumble. Owens knows both of those things are going to happen because he has Sami's back. And just like Sami had Roman's back, Sami has got KO's back too, right? Owens ended with, as my brother, if I need you, I know you'll be there. And he left as Sami was standing there contemplating everything that he just heard. So we finally got the face-to-face between these two that has been teased. First face-to-face between them since Sami Zayn tagged with Roman Reigns and the Bloodline back in War Games. And what does Kevin Owens do? He gaslights this man. He plays mind games with him. He manipulates him into thinking that he actually gives a shit. And that he isn't upset, even though you know he is. But I'm not upset. I understand it. You're a good person. You're just a very, a very good person who's very giving to people who may have done wrong by you in the past. That's just who you are. It's in your nature. I can't fault you for that. And you're my brother. You're my best friend. I'm always here for you, just like I know you'll be here for me. Just totally messing with the man's mind here. And playing head games with him. Trying to convince Sami that he gives a shit whether or not he becomes world champion, when in reality, he really doesn't. But he just finds him, basically he finds him to be a useful idiot in this situation, and he's going to play off of their past friendship and their relationship together to make sure that he has somebody who is willing to watch his back and be there for him in the ladder match at the Royal Rumble. And so I'm looking at where this may go. And so when Sammy doesn't show up in his time of need, because we know Owens is not winning that ladder match, either Sammy doesn't show up or he does, but he doesn't help Owens in the end. What will end up happening here, I believe, is that in the Royal Rumble match, Sami Zayn, who I think Sammy should have a good run in this Rumble. He should come out fairly early. He doesn't have to be number one. I mean, he could be number one, but he's in there for a while. Maybe he comes out even in the middle of the Rumble. He's one of the last, 5 or 6 guys in there or something. But Kevin Owens, after losing, now let's assume that the ladder match is not closing the show. They're going to close with the men's Rumble, which, given all the star power in the match, they absolutely should. You got 2 Rumbles. You better be closing with one of those Rumbles, unless you have the most amazing dream match of a title match that has ever been booked in Royal Rumble history. If the ladder match is not closing the show, Kevin Owens comes out during the Rumble. He costs Sami Zayn. Sami wasn't there for him. That's how Sami gets eliminated from the Royal Rumble match. And from there, we get Sami Zayn against Kevin Owens. You could do it at the Elimination Chamber in Toronto, or you could save it for WrestleMania. The one caveat to this, Randy Orton is still not back. I would expect him to be at the Rumble in some form or fashion. He's going to be back soon, right? He's not retired. He's going to be back. And when he comes back, who is he going to go after? He's going to go after Kevin Owens. So that's the only thing I'm not sure of. That's why I say Elimination Chamber, because they could very well want to do Owens and Orton at WrestleMania and save it for that show. So you would have to do Owens and Sami earlier than that. Or they could do it in reverse, and Orton comes back in the Rumble, and you do Orton and Owens at Elimination Chamber. And you save Owens and Sami for WrestleMania. Now, they've already wrestled at WrestleMania before, a few years ago, but enough time has gone by. And obviously there's enough history here to play off of that you could do it again this year if you want to. Now, backstage, Sheamus was interviewed by Kathy Kelly, who asked him why the Intercontinental Championship is so important to him. He said some people have said that he has had the perfect WWE career backwards, because in his first 6 months of his career on the main roster, he beat John Cena to win the WWE Championship. That man won the WWE Championship as well in the 1992 Royal Rumble, which we just celebrated yesterday, the 33-year anniversary of that Rumble, the greatest, still to this day, Royal Rumble match of all time. But with the star power they're loading this one up with, I don't know, this one might give that one a run for its money. It's possible. It will never be topped. But I do like the way this year's Rumble is shaping up. So he said that, he beat John Cena 6 months in to win the title when he first started. The Intercontinental title is the first title, though, that drew him in to WWE. And he has come so close to winning it multiple times, but he just hasn't been able to do it. He says that changes on Saturday. Braun Breaker entered the picture. He had his Intercontinental title, and he told Sheamus, take a good look at it, because this is as close as you are ever going to get to holding this championship. He says he's going to beat him and break him like an old man, and he suggested that Sheamus do himself a favor and retire. Sheamus gave him a shove. Braun just laughed and slowly backed down the hallway, never to be seen again. During the break, Jackie Redmond caught up with Ludwig Kaiser. This is another one of those segments that, unless you were international, you did not see. He said deep down in his heart, he knows that he will be superior and he will be champion one day. A champion one day. He's not worried, as there's no one to be worried about in the locker room, and the person he is least impressed with. And so this right here is a tell about where they're going as far as a future match for Penta. He name-dropped Penta. Said Penta is the one he is least impressed with. He said that he will get his hands on him, but on his terms, sooner or later. We had the newest addition to the Raw roster, Bayley, taking on Nia Jax, who is not a part of the Raw roster, but for whatever reason, she is just allowed to show up on the second week in a row that Nia Jax has just randomly appeared on Monday Night Raw. Michael Cole said that Nia and Bayley have met 13 times over the years, and Nia has won 7 of those matches. Wade Barrett said that Bayley has had very little success against Nia over the last 12 months. During the match, Roxanne Perez was in the front row. Not only was Roxanne Perez in the front row, she was seated, squished in between 2 fans. So there she was. Just like on Friday during SmackDown, she was in the crowd to watch Bayley's match against Tiffany Stratton. And at one point, Bayley was outside the ring, and she went face-to-face with Roxanne. And Roxanne tried to slap her. Bayley, though, blocked it and slapped her back. And Roxanne was ready to dive over this barricade. And there was a security guard there. And this security guy grabbed her and held her way up in the air by one arm, because Roxanne is a tiny woman. And then she was carried off, and we didn't see her again. So Bayley was amused by all this, but she had her back turned, and Nia attacked her. Nia missed a leg drop on the ring apron and did not scream, "My hole," like she famously did. And Bayley hit a sunset flip powerbomb into the ring post. Bayley followed with an annihilator, which is Nia's finish, and an elbow drop off the middle rope for a 2 count. Nia came back and drove her shoulder first into the ring post. Bayley blocked an annihilator attempt and made her own comeback here. She hit a flying elbow drop off the top rope, got a near fall out of that. But Nia came back with a pop-up Samoan drop, a running senton, and then quickly dragged Bayley to the corner, went up, and hit a very safe-looking annihilator. Ian Noel with the $23 super chat. Ian, it's good to hear from you, brother. Thank you, sir. I see we're getting awfully close on our super chat goal too. 3 out of 5. Uncanny says, "Rest in peace, Nia's hole." It's one of the more famous moments in Monday Night Raw history. That's why it's in the intro to my podcast every week. It was a moment so good, I had to incorporate it into the intro of the show. But Nia hit a very safe-looking annihilator and picked up the win, clean as a whistle, over Bayley. So what does that make it now? What did they say at the beginning of this match? 13 times. This was 14. Nia had won 7 of those matches. She is now 8 out of 14 against Bayley. So after the match, Rhea Ripley ran out to attack Nia. This is payback for what happened at the beginning of the show, but they got quickly separated by security. They broke through the pack. Of course they did. That led to Rhea knocking everybody down outside with a cannonball off the announce desk. And Ripley then stood on top of the announce desk and very angrily challenged Nia to a match on Saturday night's main event. The match here was okay. Nia's had better matches recently, especially against Naomi. But Bayley loses again. Now, obviously, they're setting up something with her and Roxanne Perez. That much is clear. I don't know if they're setting up a match for Vengeance Day. That would be my guess. NXT is going to be on the road on February 15th. They've got tickets to sell. Would make sense for them to want to have at least 1 or 2 main roster names on that show to see if they can help draw some tickets. And you do the first match on that show. Bayley has gone on record as saying that selfishly she wants to be Roxanne's first match at WrestleMania. So just because they do the match next month doesn't mean they can't extend this thing out, and we may get Bayley and Roxanne Perez on the card at WrestleMania this year. So that's where Bayley is headed. But her being on Raw, despite tonight her wrestling Nia Jax, which, again, it's just ridiculous that she finally switches brands and she's wrestling the same fucking people. But going forward, she will have some new faces at least to work with, or faces that she hasn't worked with in many years. But it was a necessary move because she did all that she could possibly do on SmackDown. There's just nothing left for her to do on that show. And now we have one more match for Saturday night's main event. It gives Rhea someone to defend the title against. But, there's no real drama as far as the outcome of that match. I'm trying to think, I guess the last time they probably worked each other was Elimination Chamber, right? In Perth last year. They were in the main event of that show. They will not be in the main event of this show coming up on Saturday. We had Chad Gable walking into the Judgment Day clubhouse. And he was very eager to ask Dominic for help with his lucha problems. And they didn't really want him there. Dominic initially didn't even want to have anything to do with him. But then Dom handed him a piece of paper that had someone's name on there. This person, I got a guy. This guy will help you out. God, can you imagine if it's like Conan or something? You want to talk to somebody who can help you with your lucha problem, you call Conan. We're going to get Conan on this show. How about Vampiro? And then somehow we get Vampiro back with Penta as his master. We could take that Lucha Underground storyline and just sort of carry it over here to Raw. Can you imagine Vampiro in WWE? What a fucking train wreck that would inevitably end up being. Anyway, I don't know who's on the piece of paper. I guess we'll have to wait and see what the big reveal is. Gable was excited. He left to go practice the dark arts of Lucha Libre. So JD McDonough was worried because they are getting a rematch for the tag team titles next week against the War Raiders. And Finn is out of commission after his street fight, his loss last week to Damian Priest. So he's very worried that they're going to have to forfeit this match. And Dom offers to take Balor's place and says, you don't think he would mind, right? And Liv Morgan's like, no, I'm sure he would love it. Of course he won't. But she's clearly trying to break up this group here. And she's not very happy with Dominic for not being there for her when she lost to Rhea Ripley. So she poked fun at Dom for trying to be helpful like he was in her match with Rhea Ripley. And Dom said that he would make it up to her, and she said, yes, I know you will. Pete Dunne was out to the ring. And he gets on the microphone, and he complains about the fans calling him Butch. And they must have told him to shut up because they faded out. And then a few seconds later, they faded back in to Michael Cole talking. And I did not hear Pete Dunne's voice. He was in the middle of his promo. And they just cut away to come back live for, the feed for everyone. And you would think you would hear him talking in the background. But nope, they basically... Now, we were told by the announcers later that they cut his mic. But yeah, his promo instantly came to an end. Seth Rollins was shown warming up backstage when Sami Zayn approached him, and Sami said that he appreciated their little talk last week, and Rollins, he got through to him. Rollins said that he heard Sami's comments, and he's almost rooting for him, but he'll throw him over the top rope in the Rumble if push comes to shove. And Sami said, not if I throw you out first. And he wished Rollins good luck in his main event against Drew McIntyre, and he gave him a fist bump. We come back from break. Pete Dunne is in the ring, and Penta makes his entrance. And it's a fucking great entrance. It's just great. And he does his little dance as he comes down to the ring. Michael Cole said this was not the first time that these two have met. He said they met once before in 2017 in Rev Pro. Dunne used the joint manipulation on Penta's fingers and his elbow in the early going. He went for a move off the ropes and he dove right into a kick from Penta. Dunne rolled to the floor. Penta played to the crowd and did a little hand gesture. And then he went for a suicide dive, but he got cut off by a punch. And Dunne then dumped him on the ring apron with an X-Plex heading into the break. And during the break, this was great. This was great. And I'm sure many of you did not see this, so I must tell you what happened here. During the commercial break, Michael Cole and Wade Barrett, they're arguing about one thing or another. And Barrett was very upset that people like Cole want to mock and disrespect Pete Dunne by encouraging, the fans to call him Butch. And Michael Cole said that, I don't want to mock the man. I just think that he should forget about the whole bitch thing. And he quickly corrected himself and said butch. And Wade Barrett said that you should definitely forget about that. And he's sure that that's getting clipped as we speak. So nice job, Cole. Yeah, you know what? I wish they would forget about the whole bitch thing too. It's very forced. So after selling for much of the commercial break, Penta made a comeback. He connected on a Mexican destroyer. It looked great. I mean, the one that he gave Gable last week, the way Gable sold it, it looked great. The way Pete Dunne sold it here, it looked great. And he immediately rolls out to the floor. Penta then dives out over the top rope and hits a tope con hilo and wipes out Pete Dunne on the floor. So back in the ring, Penta charges at Pete, who catches him in position for a Hangman Page Deadeye. And he drops him down for a near fall. Penta did the hand gesture again. Dunne grabbed his hand and put him in a triangle. Penta powered up Dunne and powerbombed him across the knee. And then he used the sacrifice arm breaker and then followed that up with the Penta driver to pick up win number 2. 2 for 2 so far. Another good outing here for Penta. Very good match between these two. Not as hot as last week's debut against Chad Gable in front of that crowd in San Jose. But still very good. More importantly, though, Penta is racking up wins. And as I said at the beginning, this is how you build a star. The easiest path to success, because perception is everything. And you want people to perceive him as a star and somebody that you should sit up in your seat and pay attention to. So many other luchadors on these shows are completely marginalized. And they're not positioned in such a way that people look at them, unless you're Rey Mysterio, as a legitimate big star. They're not. Not even Andrade. Andrade got a little push there for a while. What's he doing now? He's not doing anything. We could go through all the members of Legado. We can go through all the members of the LWO. Dragon Lee, he fell into the back room somewhere. So with Penta, you don't want to fall into that same trap, right? He's selling merch. He's getting reactions. He's got a unique look. He's got a unique charisma about him. So take advantage of that. Make sure you get him on the show consistently. There are people who will be on the show one week and they won't be on the show for another 2 or 3. You can't do that. This is a very important period right now. You want to have him go out there and win, and then win again, and win again. And then you could start to factor him in and work him in to some ongoing storyline like the New Day stuff with Rey Mysterio and get him involved there. But you got to give him credibility first. That's what these wins are. They're credibility boosts. So hopefully we'll get another 1 or 2 weeks of this, and then, again, maybe we'll get that tag team match. He could be Rey's partner. But it's a formula that works. It sounds so simple, but it's a formula that works. I mean, how do you think Ryback got over? Fucking Ryback. Back in 2012, everybody mocks the guy, and rightfully so, but like at the time, yeah, when he was a bigger guy physically, they were sending him out there to beat people 2-on-1, 3-on-1, but it was just win after win after win, right? That's how Goldberg got over. That's how a lot of people get over. It gets their moves over. Every week that goes by, we see the arm breaker. Oh, it's called the sacrifice. And we see the Mexican destroyer, and we see the Penta driver and the Cerro Miedo, right? It's repetition. So it's only been 2 weeks. So far, so good. He has very quickly become one of the parts of this show that I look forward to seeing what they have him doing. And just keep it going. That's all I can say. Keep doing what you are doing so far. We got a Logan Paul video package. In it, he said that it must suck to be one of his haters because when he sets out to do something, he becomes the best at it. He boasted that he became the king of the internet and is the only man to beat Floyd Mayweather. He asked, what would make you think the WWE would be any different? He said that he will eat, sleep, and breathe wrestling until he becomes the greatest superstar to ever enter the ring. You're looking at the GOAT, ladies and gentlemen. Where? What am I looking at? I must have missed something. So the announcers started listing some of the matches coming up for next week's show. They're going to be in Atlanta. Logan Paul will make his Raw debut. The War Raiders are defending the tag team titles against Dominic Mysterio and JD McDonough. And the WWE Champion, Cody Rhodes, will be making a special appearance in his home state, we were told. Now, I thought that Meltzer, a few weeks ago, had mentioned that Goldberg was going to be in Atlanta next week. If he's going to be there, then it must be a surprise because they didn't mention his name. They didn't mention Goldberg on the show tonight. So perhaps Goldberg will be there in spirit. But unless they're saving him as a surprise, there was no announcement about it. And I think, to be fair, I think Mike Johnson of PW Insider may have reported that as well. But yes, no mention of him being on the show next week. If he was going to be there, though, if Goldberg was going to be on the show next week, it's the week before the Royal Rumble. So, I mean, what else would he be there for if not to declare himself for the Royal Rumble match? Guess we'll find out. See if he shows up. Then we heard Cult of Personality. And they showed CM Punk, who was stealing Jey Uso's gimmick. He was up on the out on the concourse amongst the fans, slapping hands with everybody, making his way out through the tunnel into the arena. And he was just inside the concourse level there with Jackie Redmond, just the same area where she interviewed Karrion Kross earlier and Ludwig Kaiser. She's going to interview CM Punk. And Jackie said there are so many ways, only so many ways, that you could get into a main event at WrestleMania. She said the Royal Rumble is one way, but Punk has never won a Royal Rumble, and this one is looking like the most loaded one yet. So she asked him, what makes this Rumble different for CM Punk? And Punk said, history. He spoke about beating Seth Rollins while claiming that Rollins is a favorite to win the match. He said that the lights will be bright and the pressure will be on, and that's when he is at his best with the people behind him. He said that he can't see John Cena throwing him over the top rope. He said that Roman Reigns needed his help to settle family business at War Games. He said that there are no friends in the Royal Rumble. He put Drew McIntyre in the dirt. He said to not even ask him about Sami Zayn because Zayn is not on his level. And Punk said that if they put Hulk Hogan in the Royal Rumble, and this, it was like, whoa, where did this come from? This came out of nowhere. If they put Hulk Hogan in the Royal Rumble, he would throw his dusty ass over the top rope and kill Hulkamania once and for all. Big pop from the crowd. That got the biggest reaction to anything that CM Punk said here in this segment. But I thought that they only booed Hogan because it was in a blue state. That's what the bumbling brigade of idiots on social media tried to tell me. Are you telling me the internet was wrong? Are you telling me that they were wrong? Are you going to try to convince me that Texas is like California? Fuck out of here with that nonsense. It's going to be very interesting to see if Hogan does show up on Saturday night's main event this weekend, because he's in the commercials for it, but they haven't like formally announced him for the show. But they're going to be in Texas. They're going to be in San Antonio. So it'll be very interesting to see if the reaction to him on that show is any different than the reaction here. I mean, they didn't boo him because he didn't show up, but the mere mention of him and his dusty ass being thrown out of the ring got a huge pop from the crowd. So I didn't get the impression that Hogan was very well liked in Dallas tonight. But again, this can't be possible, though, because I had some people, who heard my rant a couple weeks ago tell me, well, the only reason he got booed is because it was in California. I don't know, Dallas, a little far away from California, don't you think? You may need to take a look at a map. Punk said he's settling scores, he's cashing in debts, he's calling in favors if he needs to. He said 29 men are going night-night. And one man will get his hand raised. One name, 3 syllables. And the crowd chanted CM Punk. Calling in favors, you say? Interesting. Him burying Hogan was the highlight here because it was just so unexpected. I wasn't expecting a Hogan name drop here. But the promo itself, it was kind of short and sweet, but it was a strong promo, the best of the night. An interesting little jab there at Sami Zayn, saying that we don't even need to talk about him because he's not on my level. It's the first time he's taken a pot shot at him like that, so I'm sure that will not sit well with Sami. See if he has any reaction to that next week. We had Io Sky and Dakota Kai against Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark, representing Pure Fusion Collective. Zoe, my God, Zoe Stark took an early blind tag in this match and was setting up for a springboard move, and Dakota Kai had no idea it was coming. And she did a springboard missile drop kick. And when I tell you that the crowd, like you could hear the fans in the crowd audibly gasp, I gasped when I saw this. She hit her with such force with this drop kick. She absolutely blasted Dakota Kai. And she took this hard bump backwards and she looked all disoriented. I thought she may have gotten concussed on it. Holy shit, what a fucking drop kick this was. That's how you deliver a drop kick right there. But she continued on, and Io took a hot tag. She worked over both opponents. She hit Baszler with a suicide dive. Sky went up top, hit Zoe with a missile drop kick of her own. Sonya Deville climbed up on the apron, and Dakota pulled her down. Io went to the ropes, but she got distracted by Baszler taking out Kai on the floor with a clothesline. That led to the heels going back on the offensive. Shayna put Shayna put Io in the Kirifuda clutch. Io jumped through the ropes, feet first to break the hold, which was an interesting way of breaking the hold. And in so doing, she sent Shayna, I guess the idea was throat first into the ropes. But it didn't look good. I mean, it was just, she barely touched the rope. But she went into it anyway, sold it. She was down on the mat, and Io went up top, hit her over the moonsault on Baszler for the win. Io was over with the live crowd. I mean, I sound like a broken record with that. We could say that every week, regardless of what city they're in, but they loved Io. She's probably not winning the Royal Rumble. She would be one of my favorites if I had to make a short list. She would be on there. Bianca would be on there. She's probably not winning. I hope she at least has a strong showing, though, in the Rumble match, and they give her some time, like 20, 30 minutes. They closed the show with a WrestleMania rematch between Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre. Rollins dropped him with a sling blade early on and followed up with another clothesline that sent Drew out to the floor. Rollins kicked McIntyre through the ropes and then hit him with a suicide dive. He followed up with another suicide dive attempt, but this time McIntyre caught him and suplexed him over the announce desk, and that took us into the final break. And while everybody else was at break, the match continued. There wasn't really a whole lot that happened. Rollins stuffed a suplex attempt and ran Drew through the ropes so that his left shoulder collided with the ring post. And Rollins wrenched the left arm around the post and hit a springboard flying knee. McIntyre went up top. Rollins cut him off and superplexed him. Now, Rollins usually will follow through with a Falcon Arrow, but McIntyre countered into a Michinoku driver for a near fall. Both men were down. McIntyre kicked up. He set up for a Claymore kick. Rollins ducked, and Rollins then charged McIntyre for a stomp. Drew caught him with a spine buster for a near fall. Drew went for a powerbomb that Rollins countered with a Hurricane Rana, and Rollins hit a Falcon Arrow for a near fall. He went for a stomp. McIntyre avoided it and then set up for a Future Shock DDT. Rollins avoided that. McIntyre drilled Seth with a clothesline and got a near fall out of it. Headed up top, dove at Rollins, who caught his arm, and he battered the injured left shoulder. Rollins put McIntyre in a crossface. Drew got a rope break. And now, they're on their knees, or Rollins is, and Rollins is barking at him about questioning his integrity. He starts grabbing at McIntyre's face, and McIntyre's still in the rope. So the referee is trying to separate them. And as he is doing this, the referee did not see McIntyre thumbed him in the eye. And then he hit a Future Shock DDT. I thought this might be the finish, possibly, but Rollins kicked out. McIntyre put Rollins down with a short arm clothesline and went for another clothesline, but Rollins countered out of it. The best way I could describe this counter out of this clothesline, he did it Will Ospreay style, because Will Ospreay is like, he does that all the time, where, you know, there'll be a fast sequence, and maybe somebody tries for a clothesline or a Spanish fly, and he kind of flips into either like a double underhook suplex or a pedigree or something like that. So Rollins countered out of it that way, but then he rolled up McIntyre and he got the surprise 3 count. Second time now this has happened in the last few weeks to Drew McIntyre, where somebody surprised him with a pin at the very end of the match. When it was over, McIntyre put Rollins down with a Claymore kick. Then he went outside and he pressed Rollins' head up against the ring post, like he was going to Claymore his head up against the steel. But before he could do it, Sami Zayn ran out to make the save for his friend. Zayn went after McIntyre, who hit him with a Glasgow kiss. McIntyre ran Sami into the barricade and then got back into the ring. And McIntyre told Rollins that they could be on the same team, but Rollins is so damn selfish. And Zayn entered the ring. He tried to hit McIntyre with a haluva kick, but McIntyre moved, and Sami booted Rollins by accident right in the face. And Rollins was down for a little bit as McIntyre left. Then Rollins sat up, and Zayn knelt down and told him, "Look, I wasn't aiming for you. It was an accident." Rollins wasn't so convinced of that, and that is how they went off the air. A really good match, and they went nearly 20 minutes here. This was almost double the amount of time they got for their WrestleMania match last year. And they had a better match here as well. This was better than their WrestleMania match. Now, to be fair, Rollins was basically being held together by paper clips last year. He did the best he could. He still had a really good match, but now he's a lot healthier than he was back then. So I thought this match was better than their WrestleMania match. I think they're doing a very good job right now of stoking drama between different players as we head into the Royal Rumble match. Sami Zayn now has issues with multiple people. He has issues with Drew McIntyre. He has issues potentially now with Seth Rollins, potentially with Kevin Owens. And you would have to imagine that he's not going to be thrilled about the comment that CM Punk made about him. I would expect him to confront Punk next week about that. And if not then certainly in the Royal Rumble match, we'll get some kind of interaction or, exchange of blows or whatever between the two of them. So he's got different irons in the fire right now. This was not as good as last week's show. I thought last week's show on the whole was stronger, but I thought it was still a strong show with some good build to the Rumble. And again, another strong outing for Penta. But the key here is just getting him featured consistently. 2 weeks in, so far so good. Let's keep that momentum going. And again, please, somebody get me proof of life for Dragon Lee. I'm worried. I'm getting worried. Hey, Justin G, thank you for the gift and membership. I appreciate it. Here's the Twitter poll. What did you think of Raw from Dallas? 70% thumbs up. You've got 21% thumbs in the middle. And 8.7% thumbs down. So chime in. Let me know what you thought about tonight's show. Overall, though, a thumbs up effort. That is what we thought of Raw tonight. Now we get to find out what you thought of Raw because we're going to get to your Super Chats. That's what we're going to do. That is what we are going to do. Again, we got a goal going in the live chat. I don't know if we'll hit it. If we do, we'll do 2 Be the Bookers. Of course, let me check the likes to see how close we are for the first one. We have already reached that goal, so we'll do at least 1 Be the Booker tonight. But we'll do 2 if we hit the other goal because we missed it on Friday because I wasn't here. So we'll see what happens. Let's take a look here. What we got. What do we have here? Of course, we got David is with us. Sidro is with us. I see Winston. Winston is with us as well. Always good to see you guys. All right, let's start with the real CS. 02. Besides Joe Hendry and Nick Nemeth, who do you see from TNA being in the Rumble? Wild shot, but I think Mike Santana. So they're not going to fill the Royal Rumble up with a bunch of TNA people. So you're going to probably have Jordan Grace in the Women's Rumble. And in the Men's Rumble, you're going to have Joe Hendry. What I said in the review that I did for Genesis is I could see Nick Nemeth being in there. And I could see Nick Nemeth eliminating Joe Hendry from the Rumble. Because you know that there's probably going to be one more match between them where Nemeth tries to win the belt back. And so that would put more heat back on their rivalry here. I did have one person make the recommendation. I don't see this happening, but in TNA right now, you have Frankie Kazarian running around with that trophy, that shoot your shot trophy or whatever the hell they call it. It's kind of like their Money in the Bank, I guess. And they suggested that maybe Frankie Kazarian appears in the Rumble, or at least shows up, and actually beats Joe Hendry to win the TNA World Heavyweight title at the Rumble. I don't see that happening. But I do wonder, though, what the reaction would be, because, first of all, it would be potentially very embarrassing for TNA if you were going to shoot an angle like that and change the World Championship of your company in front of 57,000 people who have no idea what's going on and who could not possibly give any less of a shit. Let's be honest, the vast majority of that WWE crowd that's going to be there that night, they're not going to... Frankie Kazarian, if he ran out with a trophy, they're not going to know who he is. They're not going to know who he is. They're not going to know what the trophy is for. It's just, it doesn't work. You don't shoot an angle like that, I don't think, in that kind of environment. You want to maximize the reaction, so you want to make sure you do it in front of people who actually know what's going on. But Joe Hendry will be in there, Nemeth will be in there, potentially. But, I mean, what do you think? That you put 5 TNA guys in the Royal Rumble? It's not going to happen. It'll probably just be Hendry, and that's it. People will sing his song. Enough people, I think, will know the song, and they'll get with it, and they'll enjoy it. It'll be a nice moment. But this is not going to end up being the TNA Rumble. Not how this is going to work. We have Joseph, new super chat idea: Punk kills Hogan promo. We already got our Hogan super chat, but it's not the worst thing. Jerome says, do WWE wrestlers know that you don't need to toss 29 other wrestlers out to win the Royal Rumble? They do, but I think in their mind it just sounds better, right? I'm going to win because I'm going to throw 29 men. In the history of the Royal Rumble, no one man has ever thrown the other 29 out over the top rope. And no one ever will. But it sounds good. It sounds cool in a promo. Sidro is with us. Oh boy. What to expect here. Dinosaur says, your ineptness is disadvantageous. I propound you to all vamoose with great what the fuck? Your ineptness is disadvantageous. I propound you to all vamoose with great importunity. Humans, crap. It's a thesaurus.
You suck.
Fucking guy. Guy 1. You should never criticize someone before walking a mile in their shoes. Guy 2. Yeah, so when you do criticize them, you're a mile away and you have their shoes. Yeah, I like that one. I like that one. Fire Panda dropped a bomb earlier in the stream and said, so Christopher Daniels lost to Hangman, but I know how he can get his revenge. 2 words. Curryman. Yeah, Christopher Daniels is officially retired. Apparently that Texas death match he had with Hangman on Collision was his swan song. He wanted that to be his final match. I guess that's why the angle took place in the first place. But that was it for him. No Curry Man. No Fallen Angel. The Fallen Angel he has fallen. And he is done. But thank you, Fire Panda. I do appreciate the love. Thank you for the 48. David Theory with the 50. Just wanted to say thumbs up on the HOG show this past weekend, Commissioner. Liked the tag team title and the Santana Ricky Starks matches, and I am still amazed by what Amazing Red can do at this stage of his career. Looking forward to more Hog in 2025. Again, that's what she said. David, thank you very much. I'm glad you enjoyed the show. Hopefully you enjoyed the commentary. Yeah, some of these buildings, the internet can be spotty, so sometimes it goes in, it goes out. I think for the most part it held up, but I know the internet wasn't great in the venue. But boy, when I say it was packed, I mean it was sold out. And I went down during because we were up on like the balcony level doing commentary, and I just went down briefly to the main level during intermission, and I could barely move, you know. And there were so many people kind of like pulling me aside, fans of the show and everything. So I didn't even get to do what I wanted to do. But there were so many people there, which is, you know, a great problem to have. But you know, you could barely move around. Thank you, brother. Paul Van Summeren, the $10 super chat. Says, third week in a row that I have no ads. I don't use a VPN. I'm just a guy in California with Netflix. Other people in the US have to have this happening too. You know, you're not the only one I've heard that from. I can't explain it. I don't know why. There are some people here in the US not using a VPN who have said that they have not had any commercials. So I don't know if it's a glitch. I don't know if it has to do with the market that you're in, but you know what? Don't look a gift horse in the mouth. Enjoy it. I used ExpressVPN tonight and it worked out flawlessly. So, and again, seriously, yeah, cheap plug, but if you want to give it a shot, again, I got a link here for listeners of the Sound Off. You could just click the link or find the code or however I have it listed in the description. It's in the description of every video here on this channel. So if you want to give it a shot, it worked well for me tonight. I think I'm going to use it going forward. Don 10 says, say the Boston Red Sox in the Boston accent. Boston. It's the Boston Red Sox. You know, it snowed here in New York overnight, so I had to go clean all the ice and shit off my car. I packed my car outside, and it got kind of buried in when all of the, what do they call those things? The plows, there you go. All the snow plows drove down the street. But yeah, my car got buried. Wasn't very happy about that. It's a very unique accent. Devin from New Jersey, will Miz go down as an all-time great promo? No. Verbal Souls, I heard Hogan only wants Austin to throw him over. I don't think he'll find any shortage of people who would love to throw him over. Ross Lawman, buy, sell, rent. 69 Mets season, fly on the wall for the aftermath of the Montreal Screwjob or the 92 Rumble. Well, I mean, seeing as how I wasn't born in 69, I don't really have any personal attachment to it. What? But I don't understand though, like, fly on the wall for the 92 for the a fly on the wall for the aftermath of the Montreal Screwjob or just the 92 Rumble, like just watching it. The 92 Rumble. And then fly on the wall for the Montreal Screwjob. Saint-like Media says, any PLE names that you want WWE to bring back? I would like to see Bash at the Beach come back with the beach entrance, or NXT Worlds Collide with NXT versus TNA. I think there's a very good chance you're going to get a Worlds Collide at some point with NXT and TNA. No, I mean, I always liked the Backlash name, and they did bring that one back a few years ago, so I'm happy about that. You know what I always liked? It kind of had like a Vegas theme. I mean, AEW has Double or Nothing, but WWE used to have Fully Loaded.
Oh, you suck.
Bay Spear is not a fan of the Fully Loaded name. I always liked Fully Loaded. Maybe they could bring that back. Although they're already going to be in Vegas for WrestleMania, so it would fit better if they were going to be in Vegas. But I mean, other than that, nah, not really. Armageddon, I guess, was a cool name if they want to bring back Armageddon. I'm kind of indifferent towards it, honestly. Thomas, celebrating 12 months of membership. Thank you, Thomas. Halloween Havoc is back. They just don't use it for the main roster. I wish they would. David Thiering with that $150 bomb. Holy fucking shit. Say his name and he appears. After Joe Hendry won the TNA title yesterday, it's only fitting that this Super Chat make an appearance. I did catch your TNA Genesis review on the podcast. Great work as always, good sir. Thank you, Dave. I give you the Larry Zbyszko Living Legends salute. Thank you, sir. And thank you for the love. It means a lot. It will help cover a small chunk of this computer repair bill today that I got hit with. Greg Pelfrey, do you think Penta could be a top champion in the next couple of years? He feels like a massive star. Who would you put him against at WrestleMania? I would make him Final Four at the Rumble and against Braun Breaker for the Intercontinental title at Mania. You know, I don't know. I haven't thought that far ahead as far as him at Mania. He definitely should be in a match. You know, sometimes people get left off the show or they're in the Andre Battle Royal. You're not going to put Penta in the Andre Battle Royal. The WrestleMania match I wanted for him was against Ray, but clearly they're not going heel with him right now because he's apparently selling merch like crazy. So he's going to go through this babyface run first. So I'm not sure. Since if they're not going to do Ray, I'm not sure. I'd have to think about that. Do I think he could be a top champion in the next couple of years with the right booking? Absolutely, yes. I do. I wouldn't say that about Ray Phoenix, but I would say that about Penta, yes. But, you know, Braun Breaker for the Intercontinental title, I want Sheamus to get that belt. I want them to tell that story first. So if he doesn't win the title this weekend, I'm hoping they figure out a way to kind of drag that out a little bit longer, or at least circle back around to it when we get closer to WrestleMania. C Entertainment Media with the $32 super chat. Everyone's making waves now. Joe Hendry and Jordan Grace to the Rumble. Who else can be making possible Rumble appearances? Alexa Bliss, AJ Lee, Josh Alexander. Josh Alexander's not going to be in the Rumble. Who do you like to see make an appearance? Alexa Bliss, I could see. I could also see her returning immediately after the Rumble, in case they want to debut her and not just have her lose in the Rumble match. AJ Lee, I thought she was going to be in last year. I really did. I really thought she was going to be in last year. I think we'll get an AJ Lee cameo at some point. I don't think it's going to be this year. I just don't. You mentioned Hendry, you mentioned Jordan Grace. They're not going to overload with TNA talents. That's pretty much going to be it. Maybe Nemeth, but that's about it. And then you got your Charlotte Flairs and your Becky Lynches and people that have been gone for a while, and clearly they're saving them for the Rumble. Maybe Randy Orton. So I think those will be the surprises that you get. And maybe Matt Cardona. Matt Cardona has been practically begging to be in the Royal Rumble. Maybe they'll throw him a bone and they'll have him in the Rumble. The Beautiful Brand with the $4.99. It was great seeing you in person. I was the TSA officer at JFK. Ah, yes, the first time I was excited to see someone. I've been listening to you for years. That's right. Thank you. Thank you. The beautiful brand. Yeah, it kind of spooked me because I was getting ready to go out to Chicago. And I'm going through the line, the security checkpoint. And you're always making sure, okay, this is off. I don't have my keys on me. I don't want the alarm to go off. And so I go through the security scanner, and I'm like, it's quiet, right? And then I feel like a hand on my shoulder. I'm like, uh-oh. So I turn around, and then it turns out that the agent there was a fan of the podcast and recognized me. And I breathed a sigh of relief because I wasn't sure what was about to happen here. I said, what did I do wrong? But that was a nice surprise. It's funny because the last time I went to Chicago, I took a flight out of LaGuardia, and there was an agent who worked at LaGuardia as I was going through security. He was helping with the bins, and he recognized me. So it's just crazy. It's just, you never know. You really do. You never know who's out there. You kind of forget sometimes the reach, that the show has, but there's fans everywhere. Everywhere. From all walks of life. All over the country, all over the world, no matter where you go. And it's a very cool thing. Tonga Loa Superfan. Here we go. Tonga Loa Superfan. Did those Tessa racist chants torpedo her chances of returning to WWE? Think about it. If it happens with the WWE crowd and mainstream media picks up on it, it could be Hogan's Booze 2.0. I did think about that, and I don't think it helps her cause, but I think that, again, if she can go a year in TNA without any other issues, and if the chants either die out or if it isn't a consistent thing where every big match you have people chanting that at her, it may die down, it may be less of an issue, but it's a problem. I mean, it's absolutely a problem, and again, it's a problem of her own making. So it's not like, oh, I feel so bad. It's like, well, look, there are consequences, and that's one of the consequences of your actions, and it's going to be something that follows her for the rest of her career. Whether you think it's right or wrong, it's going to follow her. And so if it becomes a regular occurrence, then yes, I think it would give WWE pause. I think it could have an effect on things. Uffman Entertainment with the 1992. That Bret Hart hoodie is $89.99 on WWE Shop. I think I'll be buying it next week. Also, hope you saw the 92 Rumble yesterday. I wish I did. I was very, very busy. I had to do a podcast. It went up so late because I wasn't done. That trip to Chicago really just fucked me up. So, I landed. When did I land? 3 o'clock maybe. Got home at 4 on Saturday, and then immediately went to work picked up with my work on my notes for the podcast. I mean, there were so many stories that I was behind on that I hadn't even seen. So I had to first go through them and say, okay, I want to talk about this. I'll talk about that. I don't want to talk about this. I had to watch SmackDown because I missed SmackDown. So by the time Sunday rolled around, I was still wrapping up work, and then I went right into recording. So no time for the 92 Rumble, because then I was watching Genesis last night. I said, you know what? I think I'll watch the TNA pay-per-view. $40 later, I was watching the TNA pay-per-view. Ended up doing a review. I don't have the free time I wish I did. Really wish I had more time. Ian Noel says, with the exception of the obvious choices, who would be some dark horse surprise winners that you would be open to or even like to see main event WrestleMania against Gunther or Cody? I also saw the old Judgment Day theme is gone from the Super Chat. Well, it's gone from Raw, so yeah, it's gone. They killed it. They got rid of it. It's old news. Dark horse for the women. I don't know that you would consider Io Sky a dark horse. I was going to say Io. You know what? I'll go Jordynne Grace. How's that for a dark horse? Jordynne Grace debuts, formally debuts in WWE as a WWE contracted talent, wins the Women's Royal Rumble, challenges Rhea Ripley, and wrestles Rhea Ripley for the Women's World title at WrestleMania. On the men's side, you know, putting Sami Zayn in the ring with Gunther last year really killed this whole fucking idea, because I would love the idea that Sami goes to Mania and beats Gunther to win his first world title. You're not going to do that now because he already beat Gunther last year. So you're not going to send him back to WrestleMania 2 years in a row and have him just beat him again. Not going to happen. And I don't want to see it happen either. So Sami Zayn might have been a dark horse pick for me, but now it's like, I don't really feel the same way about that. Yeah, if Randy Orton was to win, I wouldn't consider him a dark horse. You could do Orton and Cody. Someone I wouldn't mind to win the Rumble. Honestly, this has zero chance of happening. Jacob Fatu. And we get Jacob Fatu and Gunther at WrestleMania. I would love that fucking match. Chris AXC. Is it a bummer that the Rumble winners are likely people that have won it and don't need it? Charlotte, Becky, Cena, Roman. Yeah, I mean, look, it's always nice to have a fresh face win, but this year, story-wise, it would make sense to have some of those names go over in the Rumble. Maybe not Charlotte, but Cena. Roman's not winning the Rumble. I don't see Roman winning the Rumble. Cena, I think, is still the favorite to win. I think it's Cena or Punk. And if it was Cena this year, it's like, all right, it's his final year. They're telling the story about number 17. I get it. You know, I wouldn't have an issue with it. If The Rock, that idea that I pitched a few weeks ago before everybody else started talking about number 31 and all that, like if that were to happen, it would be such a great way. Not that The Rock needs to win the Rumble, but if he did it that way, it would be such a great way, and he eliminates Cena, to just, you know, put more sympathy on Cena and just get Rock over as that much more of just a self-centered douche. You know, that he would come out at 31 and then win the entire thing and then challenge Cody at WrestleMania. When the story calls for it, it's okay. If it makes sense, then I'm okay with it. Nick Grasso with the $4.99. How long does Io, and for that matter, Dakota, have to be stuck with this PFC crap? Io is so over right now. How does Triple H not push her? I agree. They got to get her away from this pure fusion garbage collective stuff. That's why I said I would love to see her win the Rumble. She's super over right now. The fans are into her. And I think her and Rhea would make for a great WrestleMania match. Just how I feel. Clearly, I'm not alone. She's got a lot of fans and a lot of supporters out there. Dev to Dust, did you know The Undertaker played basketball with Hakeem Olajuwon? I did not know that. And now that you said Hakeem Olajuwon, it made me think of the 1994 finals, which I'd rather not talk about. Chris AXC, can Triple H rehabilitate Wardlow, or is the damage irreversible? The carpool from AEW to WWE has him, Starks, Phoenix, Malachi, and maybe Britt Baker. Britt Baker is not going to WWE. If Tony Khan doesn't want her, I'm not so sure WWE does. But I don't know that Britt is going to be a free agent anytime soon regardless. So you could put Britt Baker on the side. That's not happening. Yeah, that is going to be a very interesting carpool though, isn't it? I like that. I can just picture it. Like driving down the road, headed for Stamford. We got Jermaine. If Hogan did appear in the Rumble and Punk would eliminate him, it'll be 92 Rumble pop all over again. That's right. It'll be just like when Sid dumped Hogan in 92. You're absolutely right. Ultimate Fighter. What are your thoughts on Chris Van Vliet? I think Chris is the best interviewer out there right now. I've been on Chris's show, and he's a great guy. Came to a Hog show many years ago. Got to sit down with him and talk to him, and then we did a show once. We had to do it via Zoom at the time, but he interviewed me on his show, and I think he's killing it lately with the interviews. So I think Chris is great. Nick Grasso also just wanted to get your thoughts on the whole Britt Baker situation. Well, I'm sure I'll talk more about Britt on the podcast this weekend, but look, I mean, these stories about Britt Baker have been out there for a while. I don't know why all of a sudden it's become an issue. I think Wade Keller made a comment on an audio show and people just sort of ran with it. But there have been a lot of stories about Britt Baker, and it's one of those situations where there's smoke, there's fire. It can't. I don't see it being a situation where you have all of these stories about issues that she has had with multiple people. Starting with Thunder Rosa, because that was the earliest that I heard of there being any kind of drama. And then other stories, and then the incident with MJF in July last year, and, you know, whatever happened with Jamie Hayter, clearly they don't like each other. And for a while, it's like, well, you know what, maybe it's not them. Maybe there's something going on with Britt that's causing these problems. So there's a reason why she is not being featured at the moment. And for all the people who just want to crap on Tony Khan and blame him and, oh my God, why is he not using Britt Baker? Maybe you should look at the situation and say that there's probably a good reason why he is not using Britt Baker at the moment. And so that's what I'll say about that. The journey called life. This journey called life. Gotta get it right. This journey called life.
It's the amazing Gunther.
But first,
Jerry Lawler loves Gunther the Magnificent. All hail Gunther.
I just realized I didn't answer the other part of his question before about Wardlow. No, the damage is not irreversible. If Wardlow wanted to come to WWE, Triple H, I think, would give him the opportunity to rehabilitate himself, and I think he would be in a position to be very successful. So no, the damage is not irreversible.
Amazing Gunther.
Oh,
Jerry Lawler loves Gunther the Magnificent. All hail Gunther.
Dark Effect. Oh, I see. We've reached our goal, so we're going to be doing 2 Be the Bookers. You're going to get a bonus Be the Booker to make up for the one that we missed on Friday. How about that? Yeah, you know, I see some people in the chat mentioning JD. I think he may have had a different take on the Britt Baker situation. I don't share that take. Whether or not you believe that some of the Britt Baker stuff has been exaggerated and whatnot, you could certainly have that opinion, but where there is smoke, there is fire. It's like the Tessa Blanchard thing, or any other situation where you have multiple stories coming out about one person. You can't sit there and go, oh my God, why are all these people picking on this one person? It's a conspiracy. No, it's not. This journey called life says, have Tessa come out at the Rumble with Hogan as her manager. Oh my God. Oh my God. Hulk Hogan as the manager for Tessa Blanchard. Jesus. Can you even imagine? Garfield Burke. Thank you for the membership. Justin G gifted a membership to Slap Talk. And renewed his own membership for 22 months. As some geezer said, life sucks and then you die. Well, never sucks here on the Sound Off. Thank you, Solomonster, and chat, and mods, and Sidro, I guess. Kind of a half-hearted thank you to Sidro there, but he appreciates it, I'm sure. David says someone wants the world to burn with that idea. Hogan managing Tessa. Can you even picture it? Garfield, thank you for the super chat. The Mount Vernon kid, Christopher Bennett. News about Britt Baker is looking bleak every day. It's never positive. Let's put it that way. It's never positive. Seems like there's always something going on, and the last thing this company needs is drama. They've had enough of it. They've had enough drama in the last 5 years to fill the next 5, and then some. They got enough problems. They don't need more drama. If anybody is causing problems, if anybody is causing backstage drama and issues, honestly, get rid of them. They need to be gone. At some point, Tony has to put his foot down and say enough is enough. The problem is, I feel like in a lot of these situations, he's probably partially the cause of it. Who's going to tell Tony to get packing? Nobody, because he runs the thing. So he's not exactly innocent in a lot of these situations himself, the way he seems to run things there. But no, I mean, the last thing they need is people causing problems. And, you know, if they had somebody who was willing to actually put their foot down and say something about it and actually take action, then maybe things would be different. Michael Anthony says, hey, Jason, I always watch your stuff with JD. Thank you. Thank you, Michael. I'm glad you enjoy it. We had a lot of people come up to both of us in Chicago and talk about TNT. And the last few weeks have been huge. And as a matter of fact, I'll give you a little teaser. One thing that he apparently found in Chicago, I don't know why he was even looking for it, but he found Hogan's beer, which you can't find in New York. But he found like the one liquor store apparently in Chicago that still had it. Had one 6-pack left. So he bought Hogan's Real American beer, gave me a can. I took home with me. And I believe, I haven't talked to him about it, but I believe one of the things we're doing on TNT tomorrow night is we're going to do a little taste test of Hulk Hogan's Real American beer. So that might be something that we are going to be doing tomorrow. It's sitting in my fridge right now. It has not been opened. It's like a little can. It's got his logo on it. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. Preflo $50. Hey, Solo, with all that's going on in wrestling, who's your geek of the week? Also, I don't know if you mentioned, but SmackDown and NXT are also on Netflix. Not in the US. You mean archives? Because I haven't even noticed the archives, but oh, there he is. There he is. Oh, he's in the chat. I didn't realize that. Okay, so he's with us here. JD says that, oh, we're drinking it. Okay. I'll have to prepare myself then. I'll have to prepare my palate. I'll have to prepare my palate for this. I don't know what to expect. Well, we'll see how that goes. I'm gonna have my spittoon over here in case I have to spit it out. My geek of the week. Who's my geek of the week? Who isn't my geek of the week? I feel like I'm dealing with geeks half the time with some of the comments that I get. My geek of the week is Tammy Sitch for thinking that the judge was actually going to, in some form or fashion, reduce her sentence, as she was explaining in her letter about how well she's doing in prison right now, and she's helping people out, and she's taking culinary courses, and she can cook now. Great, she can cook for all the other inmates. She can help out in the kitchen, I guess, if she's got all these new culinary skills that she has learned in her time behind bars. Behind bars is where she will stay. Geek of the week, Tammy Sitch. Nice try. Huge Erection is with us. He has risen. Look at this. JBL will be number 1 in the Rumble. cut a promo on his indie clotheslining tour and will say his name and he appears at number 2. That will not happen. Why would you even want that to happen? What a terrible idea. Tassie, who do you think should be first and second entry in the men's and women's Royal Rumble? In the men's Rumble, I could see Joe Hendry, so he gets that full entrance. I mean, he'll get the full entrance either way, but really soak it up. I could see him. I could see Jey Uso, but somebody pointed out, I think Jey Uso was number 1 in last year's Rumble. So having him go back-to-back like that, I don't know if they would do that, but they're going to want him to get that entrance. You know, you're going to have 55,000 people there in that stadium, so I'll say Jey Uso, but I don't know. As far as the women's Rumble, I don't know. I have no idea. I mean, it could be anybody. It could be a returning star, or it could be, I'm trying to think who would make the most sense. Well, you know what? I said before that I don't expect her to necessarily win, but my hope is that Io Sky gets some length and gets 20-30 minutes at least in the Rumble. So, Io Sky. I'll go Io Sky. Base Beer says, I've been a fan of wrestling since January of 05, 20 years. I was 10, and the first show I saw was SmackDown when Kurt hopped in Joy Giovanni's shower. A lot of cool stuff happened in 05. HBK should have beaten Hogan at SummerSlam. Oh, he tried. He tried. He got out-politicked by the Master. That's why he sold the way he did in that match. We got a little bit of the old Shawn Michaels coming out in that match. Joy Giovanni. The hell happened to her? Hey, there he is. There's Perk Angle on our screen right now. He's ready to sell you some pills right there. That's what that looks like. Darius Roby, hear me out. Perk Hogan. Oh, we go from Perk Angle to Perk Hogan. Perk Hogan to win the Royal Rumble. Hashtag HOG was awesome. Oh my God. Perk Hogan. I got news for you. Those old bones and that back of his, I don't care how many perks he takes. It ain't gonna perk him up enough to get into that ring or be thrown over that top rope. Joseph Manna, buy or sell Lex Luger debuts on the first WCW Nitro or the Radicals debut on Raw in 2000. Luger on Nitro. Again, that was such a big deal back then, and it was just such an important period in the history of the business. They needed to make a splash on that first show, and that's what they did. And it meant more. It meant more than the Radicals did showing up on Raw and 2. As great as that was, it just meant more. The bigger moment. Base Beerus, remember Wrestling Society X? I do. I never watched it, but I do remember it. Hey, who remembers Matt Rats? That's going back. Eric the Sean with the $50 super chat bomb. Hey, Eric, thank you, brother. Thank you very much. Since Jey Uso is going after the World Heavyweight title, would you like to see Jimmy Uso go after the US title, even if he just has a short reign? I have no interest in that whatsoever. Cameron Spencer, who would you trust more to babysit your child, the Joker or an undead zombie? Pick one. Do you know something I don't? The Joker. I'll take my chances. Are you trying to tell me something? Dark Effect. Also dropping a 50. Dark Effect, man. Thank you, brother. Just showing some love, Solomonster. Looking forward to it. An extra Be the Booker. Yes, we're doing 2 rounds tonight. My favorite wrestling reviews anywhere. Keep crushing it, boss. Thank you, Dark Effect. I see him right there. He's in the chat right there. Base Beerus, we were talking about Easy Lover a while back. Just found out that Ric Flair used to use it for his entrance. It makes sense. It really does, doesn't it? Good old Phil Collins. You know, it was funny. I was going down the YouTube rabbit hole recently, and I was watching live concerts. And maybe outside of the first time I saw Michael Jackson do the moonwalk, whatever concert that was, I think the greatest live performance maybe that I've ever seen is In the Air Tonight. And I'm trying to think of where it was or what the special was. But if you type it in, it's just like just type in like In the Air Tonight. It's incredible. It's just incredible. And I had never seen that before. So I just saw that video for the first time in the last few weeks, and it just blew me away. George Seckman, how about Sami Zayn against Jey Uso for the title, but not at WrestleMania? Well, I mean, if you're not going to do it at WrestleMania, you talking now, like in the next, like he wins the title at Saturday night's main event and then defends it against Sami? The thing is, it doesn't make any sense. So, Sammy's got issues with potentially 4 different people. None of them are Jey Uso. It would feel forced. Down the road at some point, sure. I mean, it's possible, but right now it just doesn't make any sense. Jeremy Rose, they do Sammy is Gunther's kryptonite storyline. I mean, yeah, you could do that, but he's not going to win. I have no interest if they're going to just run the match back 2 years in a row and have him lose. Like, there's definitely a story there to be told, but I just think there are better ones. There are better ones they could do. Devin from New Jersey. What if Roman wins the Rumble and Punk's favor will be a match with Roman with the winner getting the WrestleMania spot? Do you like that idea? No. And the reason I say no is because Roman and Punk is a big enough match to do at WrestleMania or at a big show like SummerSlam. And so if you do this, you're doing it at Elimination Chamber as a bridge to get to WrestleMania, when that match itself is one of the biggest matches they could do, and it deserves top billing on another show. So for that reason, I'm going to say no. Off leather wings, is Brock Lesnar the mystery man for the Death Riders? Yeah, because we know Moxley got along so well with him when they worked together, heading into WrestleMania 32. Yeah. Can you imagine Brock Lesnar going to work for Tony Khan? You'd think Tony feared for his life before. Ultimate Fighter. Thanks for the insight about Chris. I have a similar question. What's your thoughts on WWE YouTuber Wrestling with Regret? I think he's great. I think Brian is great. I did karaoke with him once in Las Vegas. I think it was the first Double or Nothing that weekend in 2019. I think JD was there too. I don't remember. It's all a blur. Actually, he was there because I think he ended up. What was that song he picked? Ball with the Ball. Fucking dick. Had me do that song in karaoke. But I think we were all in the same karaoke session. Yeah, I still owe him for that. Creflo Dollar. SmackDown and NXT are live on NXT for international viewers. Yes, for international viewers, but not for me. I care about me. Not for international. For international viewers, yes, but not for US viewers. You're confusing me. . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . David Thiering. When you and JD both try that real American beer, have a bucket ready just in case. Haven't tried it myself, just going off what I have heard. I've heard mixed reviews. We'll find out. This journey called life. I've truly become a fan of TNA again after not watching since 2010. This was genius for WWE to collaborate with them to bring fans back to Impact. Oh, WWE had plenty of reasons for this collaboration, and believe me, their primary ones had nothing to do with bringing viewers back to Impact, but it will definitely benefit Impact. And I laid out all the reasons why on the podcast this weekend. Alex, Brother Solo, hope you are doing well. Forgive me if this has been asked, but do you think today WWE planted the seeds for Sami and KO at WrestleMania? I believe they did, yes. Dark Effect. It's very, the VPN stuff. It's very easy actually. You pay for a subscription, but I'll just speak to ExpressVPN because that's what I use. It's a very simple app, and when you initially open it, like in the app, there's like a giant, it's like a power button almost, and you click it to connect. But it'll give you a drop-down list of different countries and different servers in those countries. So if you want to spoof a certain website into thinking, let's say that you're in Canada, you would pick Canada, hit the connect button, and within a few seconds it'll connect you to a server in Canada. And so whether it's the Netflix site or some other website, it believes that you are in that location even though you're not. And that's how you get around. That's how, Netflix will cycle shows and movies in and out. There was a show I wanted to watch once that was on Netflix, and then I went, and then one day it was gone. And I was like, shit, I didn't realize it was off US Netflix. So I went to a website to find out, like, what countries is it airing on Netflix? And it was airing in, like, Denmark and maybe Brazil or something. So I just connected to a server in that country. I refreshed Netflix, and there it was. And I watched it. That's the convenience of a VPN. That, and also VPNs are good for security reasons. It's good security for you. So there's a lot of good reasons to use whatever VPN you use, but there's a lot of good reasons to use one. Base Beer says, it's cold when Solo has a long sleeve shirt on. Really? Ain't no long sleeve shirt here. Fucking boiling in this room. I would be wearing no shirt if I didn't think that you guys would have buckets next to you that you would be vomiting into. It is so hot in here. This poor computer. I gotta get some thermal paste. I think I'm gonna take it back and get some thermal paste on this thing. George Seckman. I met sometime after WrestleMania with a Sami Zayn heel turn becoming obsessed with the title. Yeah, that could work. That could work. Bro just wanted to see the arms. Can you blame him? Tonga Loa Superfan. Solo, I like your informative and balanced takes. One could say you are the Tonga Loa of wrestling podcasters. That's the highest of praise that I can give. It is the highest of praise. Coming from you, it doesn't get any higher than that. Super chats might go wild. I don't think it's a good idea. Base Beerus, ever used WWE Mobile? I had a few WWE ringtones. Nope. Never did. Don't even know what that is. Sheldon, who would win in a fight? Prime Haku or Brock Lesnar? I mean, probably Haku. I think he would go right for the eye. He'd probably gouge Lesnar's eyes out. I don't care how big and tough Brock Lesnar is. You get your eyes gouged out, you ain't going to be able to do much. Either that or he would get his nose bitten off. And Clay V-Man 07. Took my mother to a Bob Seger concert and was the youngest person there. There was a standing ovation. Never heard so many bones crack all at once. Oh, that might have been Hogan. Hogan might have been at that concert. That's in his demographic, brother. He's a big He's a big Bob Seger Bob Seger guy. Well, thank you guys for all of the super chat love. You guys killed it tonight. We are well over 530 likes. You'll love to see it. Brock would kill him without a nose that can be fixed. Yes, but what about the eyes? If you can't see, then you cannot fight. Yes, even Andre was scared of that dude. There's good reason for it. Didn't Hendry call out Cena? I talked about it earlier. You got to go back in the stream. I mentioned that. I already talked about that. All right, you guys are getting a double dose of Be the Booker tonight. You earned it. So let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to be the Booker.
Oh, yes, it is. It is time to be the Booker. We're going to make up for what we missed on Friday. And we're going to start here with Tag Team Be the Booker. Freshly updated. It is MXM. Or Maximum Male Mid-Carders, whatever you want to call them. It is Massey and Mansois. Whatever they're calling themselves now in Ring of Honor, I have no idea, but this is already off to quite the start here, I could tell. And they're going to be, oh my God. Mansois and Massey against Briscoe and Patterson. Look at this. He got free advertising for his body shop. Briscoe Brothers Body Shop, Tampa. 879-4421. Yikes. Yes, yikes. Yikes is a good word. Yikes pretty much sums it up right there. All right, let's see. We certainly will do better here with this one. All right, here we go. Mercedes Moné with her IWGP Women's Championship that she no longer has, but she's got other titles now. She's got lots of belts. Mercedes Moné, who has taken a lot of Monet from Tony Khan to not do a whole hell of a lot in his company. But Mercedes, oh boy, look at this. Fatal 4-way. We are going to have ourselves a Fatal 4-way match. So we have to pick 3 more. Well, then we should probably get to it. Mighty Molly, one of Mercedes' opponents. Victoria, future WWE Hall of Famer Victoria. That's opponent number 3. And who is the 4th? Who is number 4? Jamie Hayter. You get Mercedes, you get Victoria, and you get Jamie Hayter. And Molly's a great wrestler. So that's actually a hell of a match that we just booked. Now, why Jamie Hayter is not already being prepped and primed to wrestle someone like Mercedes, that's a really good question. Hopefully, Tony Khan can rectify that very soon. This is the Jamie Hayter that I miss. She came back looking like something out of Scooby-Doo. This right here is the Jamie Hayter that I want to see back on my television in AEW. Can we get this version of Jamie Hayter back, please? All right, main event time. Oh, for the love of God. I said main event time. I didn't mean WWE main event. Fucking Danhausen in the main event. Are we really doing this? Oh my God. I didn't know we were booking the main event on Rampage. Orange Cassidy against Danhausen. I thought this show was canceled. Rampage has returned. Oh, man. Unbelievable. Yeah, I'm in the main event. That's why I got the buzzer. Yeah, Jim Cornette approves, I'll bet. I'm sure he does. All right, well. It's a good thing we hit the goal tonight because we have to wash the stink away. The women's match was good, but the rest of it was shit. And so this time what we'll do is we'll have stips. This could go very badly, but let's do stipulations for these matches, okay? Makes things a little more interesting. Tag team match is going to be a Molotov cocktail match. This should be good. We have Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson. The Rock and Roll Express are going to be in a match that I'll bet they never in their wildest imaginations thought they would find themselves in, but this is AEW. And it's going to be the Rock and Roll Express against the Hardy Boys in a Molotov cocktail match. I mean, the Rock and Roll Express and the Hardys, I mean, there you go. That'll sell some tickets. I'm booking that match if I can. A literal death match, yes. A literal death match. Oh my God. Hey, it's a real match. It's from the AEW game. It's a real match. All right, women's match. Oh boy, look at this. Tony Khan's dream match. A brand new stipulation has been unlocked. Tony Khan is about to book one of his dream matches. Look at him with all of his toys. Look how happy he is. Look at that room. Look at all the toys that Tony has in this room. Well, let's see. Let's see what we're going to have here as Tony Khan books himself a dream match. Liv Morgan, the former women's world champion. All right. I didn't know Tony was such a big fan of Liv. I can't blame him, but apparently he's a big fan of Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan against Candice LeRae is Tony Khan's dream match. That's not any kind of dream match. I got news for you. Tony Khan ain't going to bed at night dreaming about that match. He's dreaming about the Beast Mortos and Hologram and all of his favorites. He's not dreaming about Candice LeRae. I can promise you that. All right, we got one left. We got one left. The main event. We have to wash the horrible taste out of our first round. And it is going to be Anarchy in the Arena. Okay. All right. We have ourselves an Anarchy. And I'm not doing 5-on-5. It's 1-on-1. But it is Anarchy in the Arena. As you can see here, Darby Allin with his flamethrower. So anything can happen in an Anarchy in the Arena match. Boy, we have a Molotov cocktail match. We have an Anarchy in the Arena match. What are we doing here? Gangrel is watching you masturbate. Spin again. I'm going to let this simmer for a little bit. He's watching very intently. Gangrel, man, this guy, he's got a problem. He really does. He really has a problem. Anyway, Anarchy in the Arena. Just let him watch. Jazz says, just let him watch. What if I don't want him to? I don't need an audience. Oh, God. Ugh. See, you want to know why I don't go shirtless here on these streams? This is why. Although I don't think I would look quite as horrible as this. This is the Painmaker. This is Chris Jericho, everybody. Chris Jericho is going to be in an Anarchy in the Arena match. This is I don't even know what to say to this. This is a real photo, by the way. You think Gangrel is having second thoughts about masturbating to this? I think Gangrel just went back. He just crawled back into his hole underneath the ring. He said, I think I'm done now. What is going on here? We have gone completely off the rails. This is Tony Khan's dream match. Chris Jericho in an Anarchy in the Arena match as Gangrel watches them masturbate against Diamond Dallas Page. We have peaked. We have peaked. What did I just book? What just happened here? This is AEW. This is an AEW match, all right. That's enough of that. I've seen enough. I have to apologize for having subjected you to what just happened here. Well, that sucked. Yeah, it did. Let's go through these super chats here. Base Beer says Gypsy Joe against Haku. Think Gypsy Joe would sell for Haku?
It's Samoa BRO.
I don't think he would sell for Haku. That would be the end of Gypsy Joe. OM Too Cool. Jera Cholesterol. The Ayatollah of Rum and Cola. Some of these names for Jericho had me laughing for 30 minutes straight after that match with FTR. It's funny that the super chat, I read this after what we just saw in that main event. I like that. Jera Cholesterol. I like that one. I actually like that one. Base Beerus, Mansoor wins the Rumble next year. Oh my God, you know what? I forgot about that. Isn't Mansoor undefeated in Saudi Arabia? They're going to bring him back just to win the Royal Rumble? Mario and DDK. Hey, Solo, I want to thank you for your email back about my mom and her passing. Just wanted to let you know I am driving back Florida to Kansas City, stopping in Georgia to rest and fly to catch the stream after driving 4 hours. Mario, right? Mario. I always say Mario. Mario, I hope you're doing well, and have a safe drive. And after what we just did here in Be the Booker, you might regret watching this stream back or listening to it, but I hope you get some form of perverse entertainment out of it. That's why I'm here. Mario, again, my condolences, and hopefully you are doing well. David Thiering, Gangrel is watching Tony Khan masturbate while he books his dream match, the Beast Mortos versus Commander versus Hologram versus versus Bandito. I mean, honestly, that would be a great match. It's not a dream match, but I mean, that'd be a great match. Retro KOH, imagine you're doing your thing and Gangrel is peeping at you and flabby Chris Jericho appears on your screen. Yeah, I think I would be scarred for life. Base Beerus, Painmaker in Anarchy in the arena in Ready to Rumble DDP. Ready to Rumble DDP? Was DDP? Oh, yeah, he wasn't Ready to Rumble. That's right. So was Goldberg. At least we didn't land on him tonight. We might have been better off landing on Goldberg tonight. Winston says, my wife watched that Be the Booker and told me I can't watch Solomonster anymore. Well, you tell her who the man of the house is and how it's going to be. You let me know how that goes for you. Sheldon says, thoughts on Juggalo Championship Wrestling? Never saw it. So I can't give you an opinion one way or the other on something I never watched. That's right, Rick. Let's see all those ghost emojis in the chat for Goldberg. Let's get those ghost emojis. Speaking of Goldberg, I will be live over on JD's channel for Tuesday Night Titans tomorrow night. We've been killing it. So let's keep the momentum going into the Royal Rumble. I'm going to be live here on this channel Wednesday night after Dynamite and again on Friday night after SmackDown. No Saturday night's main event review this weekend because House of Glory is having a show, another one, here in New York. So that's where I will be. But you're going to get all your usual streams this week. If you missed episode 897 of the podcast, well over 2 hours, a lot of good shit. Go check it out. Climb in the charts. I saw the episode was number 2, behind Cornette again, number 2, on Apple Podcasts all throughout the U.S. So the more that you stream and download and listen on Spotify and Apple and all these different services, the higher we can climb on the charts. Can't do that without you. Look at all the ghosts. Look at all the ghosts in the chat. Eric says DDP wins by helping Jericho exercise. He's going to do a DDP yoga session with him. The match is going to break out into a DDP yoga session. You got to do the diamond sign, then Hulk it up. Tension. At ease. Anyway. There you go. Plenty of content. I hope you check it all out. Be well. Stay safe. Try not to have too many nightmares after what we just saw. And I will see you back here on the channel on Wednesday night for the Dynamite review. Hit that like button on your way out. Until then, take care, guys.